But the nurses who were working at night in the hospital, and that hospital I was at, it's a very bad hospital, they weren't checking, they didn't monitor me. And so they didn't notice that I was dying, basically. So in the morning, when the doctor came around to check on me, do his rounds, they call it, he he saw that I was almost dead, and so he started yelling at the nurses and all of that. And I woke up. I was out of my body. I was up on the ceiling, and I was hearing the doctor scream at the nurses and to look at this poor boy. You didn't monitor him. What's wrong with you? He's bled so much. He's like no blood, almost no blood pressure, almost no pulse. And you know, you have to put blood in each arm, stat, and that sort of thing. And the nurses are crying. Oh, I'm so sorry. So and so I was up there saying, "Wait a minute, it's okay. I'm okay. Look, everything's fine. I'm up here. See, hey, and of course they didn't respond, because they couldn't hear me. And it dawned on me finally that then I noticed my body down there, passed out, looking like a corpse. And so I said, "Oh, wait a minute. This is strange. How am I awake?" I mean, I was wide awake, more awake than I normally had been in a long time, actually, maybe ever. And but I didn't. My brain wasn't functioning, so I was really curious about how I could be awake and without a brain functioning. So the excuse me, can I get some? I felt this like some kind of light shining from above and behind me, shining through whatever me was up on the ceiling. I didn't know what I was, but whatever I was, I felt this light shining through me, and I knew that whatever that was how I was able to be aware. That's why I was awake and conscious. So I was a little afraid of it because it felt very powerful and strong. I didn't know what it might be, something I didn't know anything about. But I decided to turn around and look into it. It's like psychically, my mind turned around and looked at it. And it was like overwhelming. It was just brighter than anything I'd ever seen in my life. Uh, it wasn't a physical light. It was like, a spiritual light that was clear. And it was permeating. It was like penetrating everything in the universe, everything, not just me, not just my brain, not just my whatever I was up on the ceiling, but everything, everywhere. It was like immediate knowing that there was no end to this light. It just was going everywhere, throughout all of time and space, throughout all the dimensions of the multiverse, everywhere. And I don't know how I knew that because had no idea that there was a multiverse at the time, but I knew that there was at that moment. I knew that there were other dimensions. So I thought I didn't know. I thought maybe it was God. I didn't know what God was, but this looked like a good candidate to maybe be God. So I I asked it, "Well, what are you?" And it answered, "I'm your soul." And that really surprised me because I didn't know what my soul was either. But I didn't think it was that. This big, tremendous, large, bright thing that permeated everything. But it was, and that really perplexed me. So I said, well, I didn't know my soul was like this. What is my soul? And they said, well, I'll tell you some things about your soul. And this wasn't with words, it wasn't communicating with words. It was like just direct download. It was like a computer when the computer downloads data into a smaller computer. So this was this big, massive, giant mainframe supercomputer downloading into my little iPhone or something. And it said, you know, for one thing, your soul, you don't die. You exist completely outside of time. There's no birth, there's no death, there's no time. You play in time and space for the purposes of spiritual growth and evolution only. And that's the only reason you're here in the physical realm. That's the only reason you have a physical body. You're supposed to grow spiritually.